Okay, hello, welcome back to the podcast. Today I have one of my most exciting guests. I say that even though I interviewed like my mom, my dad, and Catherine.
Everyone's excited.
Yeah, everyone's exciting, but especially you because I feel like we have, so Shelby Church. I have Shelby here with me. We have a lot of history at this point in time. Mm-hmm. And Shelby's YouTube career and just career in general, I think is one that I have always like really admired.
Thank you.
I think that you are like really a leader in the YouTube space.
Oh my gosh.
Like you really are.
Thanks.
I'm fascinated with this idea that we're like the first digital generation. Mm-hmm. Like you can watch you grow up. You can literally watch Shelby grow up online because.
Yeah. Well, I privated a lot of it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, but you have to.
We could go back if we wanted to. I could.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, cringe.
Because you've been on YouTube for how long now?
13 years, I guess. Yeah.
And you've been doing this full time for how long?
It's weird because I went to community college, but I was living off of YouTube completely. Yeah. So is that full time? Because I was going to college, but only for a few hours a day.
I would say so. Like you were earning pretty much like a full-time salary.
I've been living off of it since I was 18.
Yeah.
So all 9 years.
Dang.
I'm 27. So yeah.
And you've had a lot of different evolutions of your YouTube career, which I think is fascinating and something that I definitely want to dive into in this podcast.
We can dive into it for sure.
Okay. So you probably have done a lot of interviews. Like you're all over the internet. People can figure out your history. So I really want to go specifically into kind of when I met you, because even at that point, you've had a lot of evolutions.
Yeah.
And interesting things happening.
Even then, so we met like 5 years ago,
yeah.
Right? Even then, my videos were different from how they are now.
Even because when we started Shuttr, which we'll get into, you were doing photography content.
Yeah.
Like, can you believe that from right now in your channel's content, you were just like, at that time, you were completely doing photography.
Yeah. Then I felt like I had to have a niche.
Yeah,
like a lot of people feel like they have to. So it was more tutorial videos. And that was really just me being like, what can I make videos about that I know about, that I like, that isn't like the lifestyle beauty realm, because I was really like sick of that.
Yeah.
Like that just felt so boring and stale to me from doing it for like many years. So I was like, I guess I'll do photography videos. Like I feel like I know a good amount about
That is another thing too that I really admire about Shelby is you're extremely technical, and YouTube is, a lot of it is like creative, like storytelling, but a lot of it is very technical. Like you have to know how to use your camera. You have to know how to use your editing platforms. But it's interesting because I always say this, especially like living in a creator house, girls don't tend to usually know how to use their cameras. Like this is something that I'm working on. Like you've been through that evolution with me, but usually they'll have like a point and shoot or even a nice camera and shoot in auto for the rest of their YouTube careers.
Yeah.
You are one of the few women that I know that knows their camera like the back of their hand. Like you really know how to use your camera and your equipment.
Yeah, because I took film classes, so I learned how from those, and it was like, I feel like it doesn't come as naturally to me as some people who are more like good at math and stuff. Like I'm not actually that good at math, so like learning ISO and aperture, I was like, I felt like it was counterintuitive. It was hard for me to grasp that concept.
Me
for
too.
Some reason.
It's really hard for me to grasp it too.
But I forced myself to.
Yeah.
Because it is so important to know how to edit and how to like really use your camera to tell a story.
And I think that is also very characteristic of you, is you don't let roadblocks get in your way.
Yeah, I try to not.
Yeah.
I feel like some things I'm still like, oh.
You're a very action-oriented person, which I will also think we can dive into for Shuttr. And I think looking back on it, I mean, I'm really just jumping into this, but I mean, a lot of things about Shuttr didn't work, but one thing that I realized from working with you is like, you just go for it. Like you always try to move the needle forward in whatever you're doing. And I think that that is very interesting. Like for me, I'm like, oh, I've been trying to work on my camera skills. I remember at USC, I was like, oh, I'll learn how to use like Photoshop and my camera better. So like, that's like a to-do list, like on my to-do list of 4 years. But I feel like you have a fast, like moving timeline. You're very action oriented.
I know. I feel like I have this like urgency or like underlying stress where if I don't, like, I'm not gonna like be successful on YouTube or whatever. Like I feel like I have to be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm like that really.
Yeah. Well, I guess the nature of YouTube is pretty fast moving. So you do have to adapt, which I also want to talk about the cycles of YouTube and kind of how you navigate those.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to when we first met. I tried to like nail down a time because I think it's an interesting like timeline. So we met at this YouTube event called Best Weekend Ever with Dote. And that was December 2nd, 2017.
Oh my God, you found the day. That's so funny. 2017.
Yeah. So I will go through like kind of like my timeline at that period in time because I think it's an interesting starting point, and then we'll go through yours.
Yeah.
So that time was my, I guess, senior year of college at USC, and December 2017. Yeah, because then I graduated 2018. So we met during that trip. I guess we can talk about that too. I think that when you get a bunch of YouTube, first of all, I had seen your videos because you've been on YouTube for 12 years and the YouTube space is not that big. No. It's pretty small.
And I had seen yours too. I think pretty much everyone there had seen, at least there were a couple people I hadn't seen their videos, but most people it's like if you're uploading, you're kind of browsing a little bit.
Yeah, you see like familiar faces pop up. Before that, I remember I saw you like do a collab or something with Juicy Star 07. I think that was like my first
Oh my God, I think Monica did.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you
like
not
she
in
won
that
a
at all?
contest
Or did you
something.
go?
I went.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I remember. Like the OG of OGest like YouTubers. Yeah.
Seriously, that's so funny.
So basically this company called Dote, which we also had later like more history with them, which I think is interesting. But they invited a bunch of YouTubers to come together. And I think I was invited because my friend and roommate Tasha had interned for them. So really a lot of their marketing strategy, influencer marketing strategy, they got from their interns, Tasha and Gretchen, or they learned a lot from them.
Totally.
Yeah.
And they were like just doing stuff so differently than other companies.
So different, where I think it really paid off for them because they were just doing things that no one was doing at the time, which I think was really cool.
Yeah. No, they were able to like tap into Tasha and Gretchen's knowledge of social media and get a lot more for their money.
Yeah.
Because they were just doing it very differently.
Yeah. So they had huge growth.
But then they like had a scandal. Like a lot of people know this, but they're not around anymore.
Yeah.
And
I think one of the cool things about getting YouTubers together is we don't often have the opportunity to meet each other.
Yeah. There's nothing forcing it.
Yeah.
And like you get busy with your day-to-day life. You were in college. Like even though we lived in the same city, we probably would have never met if it weren't for that. Because we just like, I wouldn't have really like thought to.
Yeah. So that is the really cool thing. And that's why I think I have found a value of like just bringing a community together because you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I know. I so appreciate when companies do that.
Yeah.
Like Shopify had like a weekend thing. Sony has done that.
Yeah, Sony's done that.
And it's like, oh my God, they don't need to do this. And it's like amazing. Like, that's really, how I've met some really cool people.
Yeah, it amplifies like the benefit for everyone, which I think is super cool. So we met at this event and you also are very approachable, like down to earth YouTuber.
Oh, yay.
Like sometimes it's awkward, or if you're just like, oh hey, like you just try to like talk to someone and it doesn't always work out. But you and Monica, I would say, are very like down to earth. Like you don't put yourselves on a pedestal. Like even for the time back then, like
there are some influencers that you just feel like, I don't know, I don't want to go up to them. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So me, you, and Tasha decided to hang out the following week, sometime really soon following that event.
Yeah.
And I remember we were at your house, we were going out or something in Santa Monica, and we talked and we had realized that we had the exact same idea for what was eventually called Shuttr.
Yeah.
So I was at USC, I was taking my upper division elective classes, the first time I actually really liked my classes, and I had an entrepreneurship class, and my idea was, at the time, there weren't a ton of like YouTubers on campus, but there were starting to become a lot. Like USC started to become that school that was like the social media school. And I was like, oh, it'd be really cool we had to come up with an idea that we could do on campus. And for me, I was like, oh, hiring a photographer so that you could just take photos, like graduation photos, like whatever, on campus. And what was your idea, and like how far had you gone and how much had you done with it?
I remember I was like sitting in a Starbucks and I was visiting home one summer, even though I lived in LA, and I needed a videographer to help me shoot something, but I had no idea where to find one, like 6 or 7 years ago. And now I feel like I know a lot more of them, but I was like I don't think you'd find a good one just like Googling it. And so I was like, wait, this would be like genius, like Airbnb for finding a videographer, photographer.
Yeah.
But I was like 22, like don't know how to go about that. But I was like, oh my God, I want to make an app for this. This would be so cool. But I don't know. I was busy with YouTube and stuff too. But then, yeah, when we were hanging out and we realized we had the exact same idea for it, I was like, we have to do this.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That was really crazy. So basically that was December 2017. So I graduated May 2018. But I think we started working on it while I was still in school. And we were like, oh, like, let's just try. Did we have a goal, or what were we doing like before I graduated? Were we like, oh, we should see if this works? I don't even remember.
I don't know. I don't think we had really started much before you graduated,
Okay.
but we applied to that, like, it was called Grid 110. This, like, I guess they call it a pre-accelerator.
Yeah.
So an accelerator program is like, usually startups will get some funding and like a bit of mentorship or whatever. But they didn't give you any funding, but there was like a class once or twice a week that like connected a bunch of like people also working on companies, and they gave you like a free co-working space and some other perks, I guess.
Like a community.
Yeah. And there was like a showcase where everyone had to present their thing at the end.
During that time, we were just like bombarded with like entrepreneurship, like startup 101.
Yeah.
Like I was taking a bunch of, it was like a very like knowledge based class, because like towards the end of my time at USC, I was taking these classes, and that was the first time I remember I took a class, basically all like entrepreneurs like coming through and rotating and like telling their story. And one of the guys, I think he founded Shuttr or something, that it was like related to Chuck E. Cheese. Either he opened up the Chuck E. Cheese's or he built the games inside of Chuck E. Cheese. So,
I've heard about this guy.
Yeah. And I might be saying like the company wrong actually, but something like
Atari,
I think. Okay.
Yeah.
One thing that really stuck for me was he was basically just like, Silicon Valley is full of basically idiots who go and start their own thing, and that helped him realize that he, an idiot, could start his own thing.
That's so funny. I wonder though if he just thought that, and he is like really smart.
He's for sure really smart, and also like Silicon Valley is not full of idiots.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of smart people.
But I think it's just like the idea that like it's really anyone can do it. It's like you think that you can't start a company because you're just like a whatever, like 22-year-old girl, like, but no, literally anyone can start a company. And that's what we realized. It's like, once you start a company, I think we realized like how people view companies. Like we were doing everything on the back end. Like we could see every single interaction.
Yeah.
And
it was so interesting.
It was so interesting.
It was so different from YouTube too.
Completely.
It was like, I feel like I took a break for a few months.
Yeah.
And we worked on that. We would go to this co-working space like every day.
Yeah.
And we had an intern.
Yeah.
And that was like our focus. Was like figuring that out.
And like even before we were going to like USC classes, like watching people speak, just a very different shift. Where was your channel at the time? I remember you were feeling kind of like maybe like burnt out or.
Yeah, I was burnt out. And like right before that, I think I had even I was like taking a class at Santa Monica College because I was like, is YouTube, I felt like my channel wasn't really like doing as well as it had in the past, and I was still making like a good amount from it, like enough to live on and more and whatever, but I didn't really see it growing as much, and like I just felt like I didn't like it at the time. I didn't know like what to shift, but there was just something that I was just like, I don't know, it's just it isn't right. And so I was considering like finishing college, basically, like going back to school.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I totally remember that.
Yeah. I was like, maybe like YouTube just isn't for me. I don't know.
You were even considering getting a full-time job, I remember. Like
I was like, maybe YouTube has like run its course. Because there are things about YouTube that I don't love, how it's like very on your own. Yes. I don't really like that. I would much prefer like, I feel like maybe I just have more energy or whatever, but I like the hustle and bustle of like going somewhere every day, like working with other people on something.
It can be a very isolating job.
Yeah,
for sure. Just by the nature, it's like you're filming by yourself, you're editing by yourself, like you come up with ideas by yourself.
Yeah.
Unless you make a concerted effort to actually have a team and do stuff with other people.
That's what I've been doing now. Yes. But the thing is, like, it's expensive to do that. Like, I hired someone basically full time, and it's so much more fun for me to like bounce ideas off of someone and like just work with someone else more collaboratively than just everything on your own. And I do interview a lot of people for videos and stuff too. But it's like when I was 22, I wouldn't have been making enough to like afford to do that. So I was kind of forced to be like, it was just so isolating. Yeah.
So would you say that you started doing the interview videos when we went to Dote to interview Lauren?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, like around that time.
Yeah. Because from my perspective, your channel did. So we were working on Shuttr together, and I think you were still doing like photography related things. But then after that, there was definitely a shift towards tech startup. And just like that to me, I think it encapsulates all the things that you're interested. I think after that, like your channel shifted to just be whatever you wanted to do, and you pursued your own interests and you found a way to monetize it.
Yeah. Which I feel like it's like, I put in the work for years doing the like niche thing so that I was able to do that. Because usually if you're like all over the place the way that my channel is, people are kind of like, what is this? You know? But I think I already had like a solid amount of people who had followed me for years. And like the one thing that's consistent is my editing style, I think. So I think that's why it works.
How so? What is your editing style?
It's more, I guess, like cinematic, like documentary style for most of them. Some of them aren't really, but like most of the time it's going to be like a ton of B-roll, voiceover. Like I really try to make them fun to watch no matter what the topic is. So I feel like that's why. It's not going to be me just like sitting in my room talking about a topic ever. Like I will not ever do that, basically.
Like you've never done a sit down talking video.
I have, but not in the last like 4 years. I don't think.
Yeah, it's kind of a cop out. It's a little bit of a cop out.
I don't know. I mean, some people are really good at speaking in that way. Like I would say Nate O'Brien. He does like sit down talking videos, and I really like them. Okay. Like he's good at it. But I just like, I can't even edit if I'm doing that because I get so bored of it, and I'm like, I don't know, like I need to do more.
And the thing with your videos is I feel like you always genuinely learn something interesting.
Oh, good.
If you're watching it.
I try to. I feel like I end up learning stuff as I'm doing it. So then I like form some kind of new opinion or whatever and then share it. Yeah,
that was a really interesting thing about your videos. Okay, so everyone has a completely different creative process, and pretty much probably like your own brain, you're not sure that there are other avenues sometimes because this is just always the way that you've done it. Yeah. So I've learned a lot from your creative process because I've worked with you, I've seen your process, like I've helped you on videos, and then I also did like I apprenticed for you when I first moved to New York.
Yeah, and that was fun.
Yeah, that was super fun. And also that I was just like, that to me was a glimpse of like, you can literally take your channel anywhere and do whatever you want, because we were just going around New York like every single day. That was the best intro for me to move to New York, because we probably did more and walked more than I had like for the rest of my time there.
All over the place.
We really did.
Yeah, we were like shooting video clips like everywhere, like interviewed Wooge, remember that lamp? Yeah. Like just stuff like that. There's so much in New York to film.
Okay, so your editing process, the thing that I found very notable is when you were doing your main channel videos, you said that a lot of the time, I think you said this, you find the edit and the story in the edit.
Yeah, I do. Like halfway through making the video, I'll kind of switch it.
For me, a lot of the time, which I'm trying to shift from, I think my content now is like currently shifting, but I have this theory that there's like 3 forms of creativity or creating content digitally. It's capturing, which is like a vlog or like a podcast, creating, which is like literally like outlining a video, knowing exactly what you're going to do and then creating that, and then curating, which is like bringing a bunch of different like formats together. Or it's like if I were to pop up like a Nate O'Brien video and we like referenced it and like bounced off of it.
Right.
So you do a mixture of like capturing and creating with your videos, because you have an idea, but you don't have the final outcome. It's not like a story that you're putting together. it's kind of like an investigation.
Yeah, an investigation is totally what it is.
Yeah.
Just exploring a topic.
Yeah, which was helpful for me in my own content because I always thought like I had to have all the footage together and then go sit down for the edit. But now sometimes I'll literally go one by one, like I'll film something, be like, okay, this makes sense for me here. Then I'll plug it into my computer, put it on the timeline, and be like, okay, this is where the story can go.
Yeah, sometimes it's not efficient, but like it just like turns out better for some reason. Like when you can see it on the timeline and see, because I've been trying to outline my videos now that I've hired someone so that she can do the rough cut, like outline it, whatever. But there's just something about like once you see it on the timeline together, it's not the same as the outline in your head completely. A lot of the time. And you're like, sometimes I'll get it on that rough cut and I'm like, it's just not working. Like it's just boring. And then I'll be like, it needs like this shot, this shot, this shot. And so it's like, ideally you would go shoot everything, shoot 5 videos in a day, edit it. That never happens for me. Yeah. It's always like shoot part of a video, rough cut it, realize I need like a couple more hours of B-roll or like a couple more hours to shoot B-roll, not like actual. That would be a ton. Yeah.
Yeah. You do a really good job with B-roll and making your videos very visually aesthetic. Where do you think that influence comes from?
Probably from like the film classes I took at Orange Coast College. They taught us how to do interview videos and they were like include B-roll, like it makes it more interesting. And I think I just like, it's fun to shoot B-roll. Yeah. I think it's really fun like doing the slow-mo shots and all of that. So I guess like just from that class, really just like emphasizing that this is like an element that will like spice up your video. Yeah. And then I just like ran with that. I'm like, I don't know. I love it. Like, I just feel like it.
I feel like everyone has their style. That's definitely, you can kind of in a way like pinpoint it or trace it back to a certain like time period. Like I always think like my old roommate, Kelly and Luke, they do a lot of like, they don't sit down and film their own videos. They like to have someone film it for them. And I realized I was like, they were showing us like their Braille videos. They were like a part of this like skateboard group. And I'm like, oh, that's because I was like, wow, this is such a different way of YouTube. Like I don't see anyone else doing that. Yeah. And I realized it's because they were a part of this like skateboard collective group that was like filming them for skateboarding. And I was like, oh,
that's interesting. So they were just used to having someone else film them.
Like they were used to that format. And it is a completely different experience. Like when you have someone else filming you, because then it's like you can capture the moment versus like, oh, you have to like set up a shot, think about that a lot.
I like it though. Like there's something personal about like you can tell when someone has set it up themselves and it just feels so like YouTube style, like personal.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. And I would just like, a lot of the time it's just more authentic for me to sit in front of a camera just like one-on-one than like having someone else film it.
Someone else filming it, it can be like higher production value. It feels more produced, so it can feel a little more impersonal, but it can also be good in like certain circumstances.
Yeah, I think it ups the quality a lot. And if you have like a thing or like a mission that you're on or trying to tell, or like, I don't know, like a scavenger hunt or something that's like you need someone to be following you, I think it's good.
Yeah, totally. For that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back into Shuttr.
Yes.
Like what did we learn?
Explain what it was?
Yeah, let's explain it. I guess I didn't do that.
Because we kind of did a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to explain what Shuttr was?
Sure, yeah. So it's the idea that we had to do almost like a Airbnb type of thing, but to find a photographer, a videographer. We wanted to even do editors, maybe like locations or something. Yeah, that was the idea. And we made a website for it. We didn't know how to code or anything, but we found a marketplace template site that allowed us to test it out, do like an MVP, minimum viable product, they call it. Yeah. And so then we got a bunch of photographers on it because like it was pretty easy for us to reach out to them because we had our own followings. So we could be like, hey, like we would honestly sometimes just go like shoot with a photographer and then be like, oh, we're working on this thing. What do you think? Would you want to be on it? Are you looking for more work? Whatever. Like
there was clearly a demand for the creative, for the photographer videographer side. Like they needed something like this. What we did was we actually put out on Craigslist, because that's
I forgot that we did that.
That's primarily how a lot of photographers and videographers find their jobs, which is kind of like
it was interesting to learn that.
Yeah, at that time. I think there's probably like a lot more usage with Instagram now. Yeah. But at the time in like 2018, whatever, people were super receptive to us just saying like, oh, we need photographers and videographers to work with. And then we'd direct them to that site. Yeah. And we had probably like hundreds of people sign up that way. Like actually good,
we
legitimate.
got like, how many freelancers did we get? Like 1,000?
Like there are a lot of people.
I feel like there were a lot.
Who all created their own listing, who all made their own little bio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was kind of a lot. I wonder if we can find that.
Yeah.
There's definitely video footage of it somewhere you can like put in this if you want.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would be interesting.
We documented a lot of it.
Yes, we did.
We would like vlog every day because we were like, this would just be interesting.
The really cool thing I think about YouTube is you can just like document those types of moments. And it is really like, it is fun to look back on, but it's also, if it did become something, you literally have like every single kind of like thing that we went through.
Yeah.
From like meeting to like the pitch competitions. We did 2 pitch competitions, one at USC and then one at Grid 110. I forgot. Oh wait, that wasn't I guess
it was more of a showcase.
It was a showcase.
Like nobody won anything, but it was like a good practice, I guess.
It was a really good learning experience, I think, just for being in a completely different world.
Yeah, it was fun to like do something like that too.
And I think with YouTube, a lot of the time you're just in such a bubble that
your own little bubble.
And like even your YouTube friends, like it just becomes this inaccessible, like kind of unrealistic bubble. But I was actually talking to someone about this recently who's in tech, who went through Y Combinator twice. She has her own company.
Cool. What is it?
It's called, I forget what it's called, but her name is Alice. And my intern, she reached out to me. She's from USC. Shout out to Ariana. She connected me with her sister who has this startup. Cool. And we were talking about how interesting it is, because I was like talking about like, oh, like Naval Ravikant's my favorite thought leader, which you actually follow a lot of his kind of like, have you looked into him? Yeah.
I mean, I've seen his like tweets, but I'm not like, I don't think I follow him. I don't know, maybe.
I think just you have like a very similar, you actually like live out a lot of the stuff that he preaches.
Oh,
like at least from what I've seen. Okay. So he talks a lot about like your income and your lifestyle. Like you should keep your spending low even if you earn more money, because that's how you gain wealth. Yeah. And a lot of people, what they do is like they start earning money, they start spending a lot more money. He talks about how like you should do sprints for work, like work in sprints and then rest. And then also just you follow like a lot of his, like now I'll like send you some of his stuff, but you like really do.
That's funny.
But it's always interesting when you I think there's a fascinating space when you just blend different worlds, whether it's like your own worlds, like, you know, you're introducing your hometown friends to your adulthood friends.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's
your
funny.
YouTube friends.
That's funny.
I think it's also like YouTube is not super, it's tech, but it's not super in the tech space.
Yeah. It's so different. People who are like trying to be founders of companies are very different. Well, they're kind of similar to YouTubers, but it's different.
And they don't understand YouTube, and YouTubers often don't understand tech. So I'm super interested in, I think it's honestly just the mindset that a lot of like tech people have, like optimizing like their life, like their happiness.
Oh my God, totally. I feel like they're very like efficient.
Yeah.
And, like, just like, I don't know.
I think we share that interest in just like, you are interested in like the tech thought process. Yeah. And I think you're definitely blending that world, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. I feel like those people, they like prioritize, like, I don't know, don't people in San Francisco like bike a lot and like they just are like healthy? Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. What was the segue into that though?
I guess we were talking about Shuttr. We could talk about how like, okay, so we worked on it for like a couple years.
We worked on it, I think, for a year.
A year.
I think we stopped end of 2018 or 2018. Yeah. Cause I think by mid 2019, like July 2019, I moved out of LA. So I think we had to stop like probably like January 2019.
Oh yeah. I remember we met up. We're like, okay, like, do we think this is really going somewhere and whatever? Yeah. Yeah. Cause it really like, I mean, we wanted it to work, but people would book each other and then quickly like take it off the platform and just like text each other. Yeah. And it makes sense. Like Airbnb is able to block that because they have some kind of like AI thing that like you cannot send your email address. Like they will block that.
Interesting.
Or your phone number, whatever. Like you can kind of be tricky about it, but it's really hard to. Like I've tried. And our thing, we didn't know how to code, so we didn't know how to do that. Yeah. And then also the people are meeting up. So they're going to meet up anyway. And if they want to shoot again, no way are they going through our platform and paying a fee for no reason.
And our platform was just like, it was like a step below Craigslist. Like it was, the interface was not great.
It was like a step above Craigslist. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But it wasn't like that good because we didn't know like a software engineer or whatever to do that. And like, sure, you can hire that, whatever, but we still I felt like we didn't have enough traction to justify like hiring an expensive software engineer. If we had like off the bat been getting like 1,000 bookings like really quickly, but it seemed like the retention wasn't there. People would maybe use it to find their videographer and then keep that person. Yeah. And then it was like, okay, how do you make a business out of that?
They would take it off of our platform so that there was no point of our platform.
Yeah. And now I feel like people can use Instagram. There's still kind of maybe a need for that kind of thing, but like, I don't know. I feel like I just posted my Instagram story, like, who's a videographer in this area? And I can just look at their like Instagram and find it.
Like, when you find someone that you like to work with, you tend to just stick with them because that's what you're used to. And it's like developing that working relationship. Yeah. What were some other kind of lessons learned that we had from Shuttr?
I guess, okay, one thing I think I took away from it was that if you're going to work on a project like that, it's best to really, and everyone talks about this, like every like startup-y person or whatever, to find someone with a different strength. Because if one of us had been like a software engineer and one of us a YouTuber, it would have been like perfect. But we're both just like had the same idea and we're friends. And so we're like, oh, we should do this. Yeah. But then we didn't really have that different of strengths.
Yeah. That was a huge thing I think we came across and we realized, to the point where even when we did meet with technical people, we had no idea what they were talking about. And so it was just like us two, like creative. We had, I think, a good idea, but we just had completely the same skills. Yeah.
And so it didn't really like, it was hard to go anywhere from there, because then we would have like different opinions on things a little bit too. And then how do we decide? Because it's not like we're going to be like, oh, you're good at like graphic design and coding or whatever.
Like that's your expertise.
Yeah. And so it's like, you do that and like whatever. Like we were just, I don't know. Like,
it was also like, it wasn't all like sunshine. It's hard to work on something together. Yeah. And we definitely did have our like disagreements. Yeah. And it is awkward, especially as like friends. So I think it taught a lot of communication.
But we're still friends.
Yeah. I think that's a huge testament.
A lot of people wouldn't be.
Yeah. And I think that is also good awareness to just be like, you know, we don't have like always the same vision. I think we had like the same like overall vision, but the way that we would go about it was probably like different on two different lines. It wouldn't be the same line. So,
I know, totally.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to like move fast and like execute stuff.
Yeah, and I wanted to
like, you're like, let's make strategic systems.
Yeah, I was like, that in hindsight, I was very much about the systems, which I think is important if it does work out. It's like we were doing outreach, so we'd have like the exact same emails, and I was like, let's templatize this. Like, but I do think that in hindsight, like I think your approach was much better, especially for
the beginning. But then later it would have been very unorganized.
Then we would have had very complementary things where you're just doing stuff, like you're doing the outreach,
I was just trying to throw things at a wall to see what would stick.
Where I was like, oh, like let's be smart about this and think and like measure twice, like cut once type thing. Yeah. Where for what we were doing, and a lot of the time in the beginning, I think you just need action. And then it's kind of like what I think Naval preaches. I just like praising him, but it might not even be his idea. It might just be like what I see on like Twitter. Yeah. But it's, you do everything, you try everything, and then your rest phase is like where you can actually strategize and think, because you kind of need to have that boredom or just like you doing nothing.
You do. I hate that, but it's so true. Yeah. Like that's how I even started YouTube in the first place, was out of boredom. Like good things come from boredom. Yeah. It's really easy in this world to not be bored though. Just go on TikTok or like.
You're even saying that like now that you always listen to things, you're like, oh, maybe I might be listening to things too much.
Yeah, I'm always like, oh, I wake up, I'm working out, I literally will watch YouTube videos while I work out. Or listening to music, I think is fine. That's good for a workout. But like I'll be making food, going on a walk, always listening to something like this is bad. Yeah. But like I get bored. I need to maybe not. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm like, I kind of just want the silence.
Yeah, in this world, you can be constantly stimulated by something.
Yeah, which is not always a good thing. Yeah, I feel like it's not.
Especially if you want to be a free thinker, as Catherine always says.
She's so funny.
We spent the weekend with Catherine.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait, I feel like what were we talking about? That was really like communication
we
stuff.
Disagreed on stuff.
Yeah. I think that is like kind of an interesting thing. Like I don't want to delve into it too much, but it is interesting because it is super uncomfortable. Like, what would you say, like, was the most frustrating aspect of like working together? Was it just like the difference of opinions?
Yeah, I think the difference of speed. Like I wanted to just be like, oh, let's like get this all done now. But I, even with my own videos, have unrealistic expectations of that. I'll be like, I'll be able to edit this and this and this. And like, by the end of the day, like half of it is not.
Well, and I would say that you are an extremely productive, efficient person. Like, I
feel like I am, but am not. I don't know.
You get a lot of stuff done. You probably don't see it in your day to day, but like out of a lot of the people I know, I would say that you're definitely up there.
Really?
Like that's
okay.
For sure. You have very high output. And I think that's actually something, I think the last few years have been me learning that I have like some block where I don't put out like nearly as much as I could be.
Yeah, you could do more for sure.
Yeah. And like even for my videos, I would just like sit on them and wait. It's probably like the perfection over like progress.
Yeah.
Which was my
I think
huge.
that I was like frustrated by probably, but yeah, it probably would have been fine if we were just like, well, I don't know, say you were a graphic designer or like software engineer and you were like wanting to make it really perfect and go at a slower pace, and I was like, no, we just need to get it out there, we need to get people testing it. That would have been probably still a disagreement.
For sure. Yeah At the beginning, I think you do just need to like try everything and get everything,
make it like, it doesn't need to be perfect. I feel like that was kind of the main thing.
I would agree, but it was fun like working together because we'd even go to events. Like that was the good thing. I think that is a complimentary part about working together, is like we'd go to events and networking events, and it's much easier. Like you had a huge following, and we leveraged that a lot. We were like, she, like whenever we were like talking to like influencers, it's an easy sell if you have like 200,000 followers with like a verified check mark.
And I never really thought about it that way though.
Yeah, I could tell you didn't.
You would be like, oh, she has this many followers, but like I would feel weird saying that about myself.
You can vouch for someone else much more than you can
and
do
I
that
just
for
didn't
yourself.
think it mattered that much, but it turns out it actually did help.
You get a lot of credibility with followers, and I think interacting in that space is when I realized that for you, I was like, oh, we could really take advantage of this aspect of that.
But I thought you still had a solid amount of followers. Like you'd say that I had a lot, but I was like, you in your own right could have been like, I don't know how many at the time you had, like 10 or 20,000 on maybe Instagram or something, or more on YouTube. That's still super impressive to most people.
It's really impressive to like the tech, if we were just talking to the tech aspect of it, but when we were trying to get the other side, like the creators, you were definitely like a leverage for that. I think working with you, you're also you're really a girl for the girls, you know, you're not like overly, I don't know, it's very easy to work with you, and I feel like in doing something like that, you get behind it, and then we were like on the same page.
Oh yeah. And wait, what do you mean? Like instead of like,
I don't know, I just feel like some girls, like there's either like competition or like I don't know, I feel like you actually like, you're very easy to work with, and
thanks.
You have like a
I don't like competitive type of vibe.
You're like we can both win from this, and then
I think so. I feel like it's just like, I don't even know what it is, but like helping other people in some ways, like good karma or whatever, or even being like, oh, I have an extra camera, like let's get another angle. Like why not? It's like no skin off my back or whatever that term is, you know?
Where do you think that came from?
I don't even know. I just feel like I see people that I feel like I've seen people that are successful and they're very helpful to other people too, for no like reason. Like they don't have to be. And it's like, why not just do that? Or I feel like I've appreciated when other people have done that. I don't know.
I think it's always beneficial, but I think some people think that they have that mindset but don't really like live it. I think you actually truly live it.
I feel like overall, like, are you glad that we had the experience, or do you feel like it was like kind of a waste of time?
No, I'm really glad we had the experience. I think that was like a low point in my life for sure, because I was just like, I had just graduated. I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, this isn't working out. But I think I learned a ton from that.
Me too.
I was even talking to Alice, and she was just like, oh, you could just start, like, you, at this point, if we were to like start anything like separately or like anything, I'm not saying that we would start something, but we would know so much more.
Oh my God, yeah. And like we were like 22 and I honestly feel like we had no clue about what was going on in the tech world. Like
to me at that point, I was like, we are a small speck in this world, and we like had to kind of take like one baby step at a time. But I think we've even having that awareness now, I don't know. I feel like we just actually learned like so much, and even the working together thing, like that's.
Yeah. And I also feel like it's like a timing thing of, imagine if it was really successful at that age, 22, 23. I don't know if that would have been like the best thing overall. Like I think about that even when I was like 17, 18, even 2021, making those more beauty videos that now I think are super cringy. Saturation era, if people know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
At the time I was like, oh, I wish I got like 1 million views per video. Now I'm like, thank God those didn't. They're so embarrassing.
Okay, I actually think about that a lot.
Like, yeah, I feel like it's just meant to work out how it's meant to work out. Like you need to be patient, you know?
Okay, I love this.
We needed to learn.
I love this because even for YouTube, like I've been on YouTube for 10 years now, and my videos are doing well, but for some people, I'm just like, people start so young on YouTube now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's hard, I think, to even know who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And then once you get like social media, you have all these jobs, like have all these followers, have a lot. It can be like a complete lifestyle change for a lot of people. And I'm kind of grateful for like people like you, or because I feel like I have like a lot of old YouTube, like 10 plus years. And then also I have friends who are like young YouTube who have been on for like 2 to 3 years.
Right.
And I think that is a fascinating difference. I think you approach YouTube very differently than people who have just started like 2020 or like 2019.
I think so. And I think that the newer YouTubers can like really get worried if like they don't upload 1 week or if a video flops. And I feel like I've been doing it for so long. I'm like, it's honestly fine. Like, or I don't know. I feel like I've had my channel transition from like beauty stuff to photography to what it is now so many times that I feel like comfortable with like, oh, I could reinvent my channel again.
Yeah.
And people I feel like they get worried. They're like, how long is this going to last?
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, it's what you make it. Like, it's not going to last a long time if you have to reinvent yourself, I think, on YouTube and stuff.
I think I feel the same way, because even if it's difficult, because you literally have to, and if you're starting something new, if you're starting like a new reinvention or a new version of yourself on the internet, it still has the chance of like not doing well at first.
Yeah.
But if you have like a long-term vision and you're planning for the future, I think that it's oftentimes the smartest to follow what you're genuinely interested in.
Oh my God, totally. Otherwise, it will work a little bit if you're not interested in something, and like, it can be exciting to see it get views maybe, but you will hit a point where you're like, I just can't do this anymore. Like, I don't care about this topic or whatever it is. Like, I see so many people run into that. And like, I did too, when I was doing like morning routines and stuff. Like, I was like, who cares? Like, they're all the same.
That is like the evolution. Like even for back to school, like that was like my niche. I was like all about like school videos.
Yeah.
But
and
then
it's fun genuinely the first couple times.
Yeah. But then after a while of doing like back to school, especially if you're like not in school anymore, you're just like, what are we all doing here?
Yeah.
Like you just kind of take a step back. Sometimes a lot of the time, if you actually take a step back and like just try to like narrate your own story, you're just like, okay, like what's the point of this? You have to like make sure that it's something authentic and genuinely interesting to you.
Yeah. And if you're going to change styles or change like niches or whatever, when you make that jump, the first few videos have to knock it out of the park. They have to be so good that people are like, oh my God, like I see why it's different, you know?
That's interesting.
I think so.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember when I was changing my style and I was like figured out when it was working, where I was like, these videos are better than the older ones.
Wow.
I thought.
Okay, so because you transitioned your channel. So after we were done working on Shuttr, what did you do? Shortly after there was the pandemic, the start of the pandemic, like the following year.
Okay, yeah, like 2019. That year, I feel like is when my channel really like changed a lot. I remember I went home, specifically made this one video about how I felt like working out just like impacted me a lot. And I made it very cinematic and voiceovery, and that was the first one that I did like that. And it was short. It was like 3 minutes long. It's probably still on my channel. And I was just like, whoa, I think I'm onto something with this style. Like, I just really liked how it turned out. I was like, I really just liked that video. And I think other people kind of resonated with it in the comments. So I kept that up, where I was like, I like this voiceover thing. I like doing this style, like adding cool music and whatever. And then my video that popped off was the one that was like how much you can make from 1 million views on YouTube. That one went crazy. And I was like, whoa, I've never had a video do that. That was wild.
You were like the first person that I saw to do that video.
I know that Graham did one before me.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but for whatever reason, mine like really popped off. But I did, in that video, I tried extra hard to not just sit there and be like, this is how much, and like show a screen recording. I went to different locations. I showed why. I compared my like 2018 revenue to the last year and showed like, isn't it crazy that you add an extra ad? Like, I feel like a lot of people learned from that. Like, now everybody knows, like, put an extra ad, make the video 8 minutes.
Yeah.
But like, for a while we didn't know to do that.
No.
But yeah, that one, I went to a bunch of different locations. I like had my dad in it. I had my friend Janine in it. Like, I just like tried to make it good.
Yeah.
And so I think that helps, because you have a better retention. People are like, oh, like what's going to happen
like
next?
Different scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one did really well. And then I was like contemplating getting a Tesla, and I didn't know. I was like, should I do it? I don't know. And I made a whole video documenting how like I tried it. And like those videos, I feel like really made my channel have a whole different, like, I don't know,
audience.
Like, yeah.
The
Tesla videos did.
Because then you had a tech audience.
Yeah. And those people stuck around for other tech videos that I wanted to do. Because I'm not so techie where I'm going to like review a laptop. I just don't care that much about like the RAM or whatever. Like, I just don't really care that much. I'm not a full tech channel, but I love trying the wearable tech products, like the sleep trackers, the smart glasses, electric vehicles, because it's like your day to day, like using
stuff
them.
You're actually interested in.
Yeah. I think those are super interesting.
Yeah.
Like even that one chip thing that Elon Musk is working on.
The
like,
Neuralink.
Yeah. I'm like, that's crazy. I would try that. Like,
you would?
Stuff. I don't know if I would get it, but I would love to make a video about somebody that did. Yeah. I'd be nervous too.
Yeah. What the heck?
Yeah.
So your channel went from photography to tech. And then that made a huge shift in your channel, and also your following. You grew a lot after that, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
But it wasn't fully tech. It was like some tech videos. I don't even remember what some of the other ones were. Some that were like things you should know before you move to LA. Things like that.
Right.
Like they were kind of random.
Like,
I don't know.
lifestyle for Shelby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just things that I had like experienced or could speak to.
And so when we went to Dote to make the documentary, you featured that somewhere.
Oh, at Buffer Festival.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did that have any, like, was that an inflection point of any sort, or?
Yeah, because I tried really hard on that, and I was like, oh, I want to do more videos like this. It's hard to get that access, though, to find someone who's running a company that's down to let you film them for a couple days.
Yeah.
Because like that Doe video, they let us film everything for like 2 days, basically. And that one turned out really cool. I was like, whoa, I should make more like documentary style type of content.
Yeah.
And that took a while to figure out that that's what I like. Like going to, like taking film classes, I guess. Everyone's like narrative stuff. Like I want to like direct a movie. And I was like, I guess, yeah, TV is cool. Like, I don't know. I just didn't really know. I thought that I liked narrative things, but I've realized I actually don't. I don't even really watch a lot of TV or movies because unless it's based on a true story, I just don't care. I don't know what it is.
I'm kind of the same way, I think. Yeah.
I love documentaries.
Yeah, because I like a realistic portrayal of what happened.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, if that didn't happen, or if it's inaccurate, I'm just like, this is not reality.
Yeah, that's why I don't really like a lot of sci-fi stuff unless it feels like it really could have been real, or I don't know. Like the ones that are really well done.
Yeah.
But documentaries, love it. Or movies based on a true story are like my favorite.
Yeah. Okay, so then I would say, like, would you say that your content right now is at a place where you like it?
Yeah, I like want to look at my channel right now. Yeah. Wait, let me grab my phone.
Yeah, do it.
All right, looking at it, I feel like I do like it, but I'm trying to up it even more with like Olivia, my new like videographer, editor / assistant. I don't really know what to call her because she helps with like everything. Yeah. But she's not just an assistant going to get coffee. Yeah. She's like doing more than that.
Your right-hand man.
Yeah. So I like the direction of doing videos about like real estate and Airbnb and stuff. But I've uploaded some where I'm like walking 10,000 steps per day. That video, I was like just sort of out of ideas, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of like I saw that and I was like, oh, like I think about that where I'm like, oh, I need to be walking more. Yeah. I think you're a health centric person. Like you like to be healthy. Yeah. So even for that, I liked that video. I like specifically remember that one.
Well, that one, I love going on walks. Yeah. So I did genuinely like just want to do it. Yeah. But I knew, I was like, this isn't going to do that well, probably. And I don't know if it turned out as good as like it could have. Like,
okay, wait, actually for me, the real estate type, like what would you say? It's like development or real estate?
Yeah, like I guess Airbnb's like business breakdown of it, or like I'm documenting the process of building. Me and Rob are building a house in Joshua Tree and turning it into an Airbnb. So I'm trying to document the whole process of that, like how we're developing it, because I feel like there's some content on it, but a lot of these real estate developers, it's a very like daunting, confusing thing to get into. I follow a lot of them on Twitter now, and it's like such an interesting world, I think, but it's very confusing if you don't know how to do it. And I really do want to make it more, I guess, like clear to people how to do these things, because we really don't have enough housing. And like people never think, I don't think a lot of people think to build. They don't. They're like, oh, I want to buy and renovate and flip it. But like, why not buy land and build?
Yeah, no, my parents were like considering building on a property in Washington, and they were just like, that's out of the question. Like, we don't want to do that anymore.
Well, it's very confusing. And there's not information out there, like all these tests that you have to get and everything, and getting like a construction loan. But I've realized it's like, oh, well, like you just Google it, ask the city. Luckily, Rob knows a lot of this, but I'm like, I would like to learn it and like share it with people so it's like easier for them too. Yeah. Just like what we run into and whatever. Cause it's like, I feel like everyone wants to renovate a place, but like actually renovating is a huge pain. There's always weird things that you run into. Like you open up the wall and they did like the weirdest stuff. Yeah. And from what I have heard, new construction, you don't have those surprises. The struggle is getting a construction loan, and like it's a risk like anything, but I feel like if you have the money to buy a house and renovate it, you probably have the money to buy land and figure out building too. But I still feel like I'm learning about it. Like I don't have enough knowledge to speak on it fully.
That is the really cool thing that I like what you're doing. Okay, so because you were doing kind of like lifestyle tech, and then you started this renovation project in Palm Springs. When was that? Because then you were able to well, backing up, so first you were able to pay for your Tesla through making the videos on your car.
I mean, all the videos I made about it, the AdSense of that fully did. And I've gotten a lot of brand deals for Tesla's specific videos where they specifically want it in a Tesla video, so it has more than paid for the car, and gotten me a whole new audience that watches even more of my videos that probably wouldn't have found me if it weren't for like the Tesla videos.
And then you started this renovation project. When was that? It was during 2020.
Yeah, I think we closed on the house at the end of 2020.
And I'm sure you made an entire series from your vlog channel on that.
Yeah, well, on my vlog channel, and I made videos on my main channel, and I did some brand deals that incorporated the house too, with like Fiverr and stuff. Yeah. So then that to me, you're literally just doing content on stuff that genuinely like moves you forward as a person, moves your business forward. It's insane. It's like a life hack.
It is a life hack. Yeah. So I take like, in thinking about like even what I want to do, I'm like, I take a step back and I'm like, okay, what's my like real estate niche? Like, what is it that I'm trying to do next? Yeah. Because it is genius that you're able to do that. I think that's like probably an all thing that he says is like, find like your hobbies and like just.
They all, what's the word? There's like a synergy to it. Like me making videos about it helps the Airbnb, which I don't know, it all kind of works together.
Yeah, it's like
me doing the Airbnb is good for my YouTube channel.
Yeah,
it's an interesting
like
thing.
a flywheel effect, or like a, I don't know the proper word either, but
yeah. And I didn't even really plan that out that much because there's so much to think about doing YouTube and doing an Airbnb. I didn't think, because I guess we've talked about how I just kind of go for it. I don't strategize that much. Like I try to sometimes, but not that much. But it worked out just better than I thought even. I don't know.
And I think that is the beauty of just going for it, is like sometimes you can't even calculate like what's going to happen. So you might as well just try to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing too, like as long as you are having something that the viewers get out of it, like I shared all the numbers really, because I'm like,
you're a very transparent, like helpful person for your viewers.
I was just frustrated by it. I was like, I don't know how much these things cost, and these contractors are giving me numbers that just seem like they're out of thin air. Yeah. And so that's why I was like, I think we need more of like a standard here. Yeah. I wish I had I couldn't find much info on someone doing that in Palm Springs. And so I wish I had seen those videos.
That is really cool, because you've gone to a place where you can do all these things yourself, and it might not be accessible to everyone, but you're being very transparent about what it will look like for like when they can, or if they can. Because
hopefully someday they can. Yeah. Because like I couldn't have done this when I was like 20 or whatever. It's only because I've like done YouTube for, I don't know. I feel like sometimes people think I'm younger than I am or something, where they're like, think I don't deserve, like they'll just make comments like that, and I'm like, I've been working on this since I was like 14.
You are literally one of the hardest workers I know. Like
excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
No. Would you say, so I've seen this thing where it says like it takes like 10 years to really make a career in any place. I feel like you've actually had a career like before the 10-year mark, but would you say like the 10-year mark changed anything?
I feel like then I just really figured out my style more. Yeah. And I felt more like confident in it.
Yeah. Because it does take a long time to develop like your style on YouTube and what you actually like.
Yeah. And I feel like I grew my channel slowly, and it feels more solid because of that. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of the newer TikTok people, it feels like it could be more fleeting. Yeah.
That's kind of how, I mean, I don't know, but I'm like, you grow that fast. To me, it'd be mostly just like the mental aspect of it. It'd be really hard to deal with, I think, because
I mean, I feel like they can grow that fast and keep it if they are consistent.
Yeah.
But you do see a lot of people where like they get it really fast and then they don't continue to get that crazy traction because for a lot of the time, I think it just isn't realistic.
No.
Like there are the people like Charli D'Amelio or whatever who like blew up and then continued to get like a ton more followers like every month or something. But most people, like they might have one video go viral and then not every video does after that, and they're like, what? Yeah. And then they like kind of lose motivation.
Yeah, it's kind of a harder adjustment too.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving forward, what are you doing now with Rob Built?
Oh yeah, so we bought a piece of land in Joshua Tree and we're building a house on it to make into an Airbnb. And I do get a lot of comments about, I guess, just like Airbnb in general, because the housing market's crazy and stuff. But yeah, we're building a house, so learning about the whole new construction process. We're at the point of, we have a floor plan and we have like a SketchUp model of it, whatever. And we have the land. We bought the land. We have a percolation test done. We have to get the septic tank installed. That's kind of like the next thing. And then also submitting our plans to the city, like to get permits. So that's where we're at. We haven't like started construction. It's a very long process. Yeah. That's another thing I think why people don't want to do it, is like it's quicker to renovate, but I feel like the 2 years is going to pass by anyway. Yeah. Like 2 years passes by so quick.
Yeah, you might as well start now.
Yeah. I'm like, 2 years isn't that long.
It's not.
Yeah.
So are you documenting that entire process too?
Yeah. Like we record our calls that me and Rob have. We just like have Zoom calls about it, and with our like drafter guy. Yeah. And then once we start construction, I'm going to go out there like probably once a month to get footage of like how it's going, what we're running into, just all of that. I think will be fun. Like I'm excited because then I'll just go to Palm Springs and drive over.
Yeah. So would you say that a lot of your Airbnb guests come from your YouTube?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's just people searching on Airbnb.
Dang.
Because it's like a high price point.
Yeah.
We do a 3 or 4 night minimum depending on the time of year, because the city of Palm Springs only lets you do 36 rental contracts in a year. So basically, if you wasted a rental contract on a one night rental, if you only did that, you'd only rent out 36 nights a year.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you do 4-night minimum, you can rent out 180 days of the year. And then you can do a 30-day rental, which doesn't count against those. And you can like optimize it that way. That's why we do the nightly minimum. Pretty much everyone in Palm Springs does that. And people get a little frustrated. They're like, why can't I just book for one night or two? I'm like, if the city didn't have that rule, I would be fine with it. But otherwise, just business wise, it doesn't make sense to do that. Yeah. And like, I want to make a return too on this expensive project.
Yeah.
So that's why we do it. And we just charge the market rate of what other people are charging at the time. And so I think it's just more expensive than what a lot of my subscribers probably would want to pay, which is fine. Like, I even think if it's 2 people going, don't stay in my Airbnb, get a hotel. It's way cheaper.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need the whole house.
Yeah.
And I guess if you really want to, but it's really meant for a group that's like splitting it, then it is cheaper than a hotel actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes when people go to an Airbnb, that's like I'm just like, it'd be scary to just go with like you and another person. Like, you need a big group if you're going to like that type of Airbnb.
I feel like mine, there are definitely couples that book it. Yeah. Just 2 people.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people that go they live somewhere cold.
Yeah.
And it's like people they go to Palm Springs every year. It's a lot of people are like over 50.
That's very interesting.
But we've had groups, like younger groups that people go.
Yeah. Okay, so you're like a YouTube OG. You're a YouTube veteran. Like,
I feel like I'm in like the 3rd wave of YouTube though. Like, not OG, like people like iJustine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I would consider you like pretty OG.
I guess I was still on YouTube and like making videos, but I didn't get actually like more known on it until later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of like, what advice would you have for like people wanting to start a YouTube now, and thinking long term?
Yeah.
And even thinking about branding, like right off the bat, being strategic.
Right. Definitely just be consistent, because there's so many people doing it. It's like so insane how like it is honestly hard to start a channel now. I think it is. But if you're consistent and you're making good videos, like it will work, but it will take time. And that's like the biggest thing is people just quit early. And you want to make sure you're making videos about something that you care about or that you know a lot about. This like might sound bad, but like maybe you don't really care that much about something, but you know it would do well. So like a boat video, for example, maybe you own a boat and like you know a lot about that, and you could make some how-to videos or interesting videos about that, and you could kind of use that as like your launching pad. And then like, you know, those will do well and you know a lot about it. So you have some value to provide and you know people are searching for it. Like, you want to have that overlap, or it's something that you're really, really interested in and you could document yourself learning about it. Like, maybe you just interview people that have boats and like you want to learn more about it, or like you buy one yourself if you can and like you document the process of you learning about it. I don't know. That's like a random example, but you ideally want it to be something you're really interested in. But I think it's okay if it is at first something that you know a lot about, because you can kind of change it later too.
Yeah.
Like, you can start with like, I don't know. I guess I'm a little hesitant to say that, because I do have friends who start with something that they know a lot about and then they feel very pigeonholed and have a hard time like switching it. But I feel like you can totally switch it, but it is hard.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people just like delay changing that for a long time.
I think so too.
Sarah Dietschy had a really good like motto for this, and I still kind of use this. And it's like, one for you, one for them. Make one video for the algorithm that you think will do well, and then one that you just want to make for fun. Yeah, and it does keep you like enjoying it, and like also not too niche and too random that no one's going to find it. I feel like that's really good advice.
Yeah,
that I follow.
Great advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do the one for me, one for you.
I feel like I haven't really done that as much lately. Yeah. But I do try and remember to do that. I'm like, looking at it, I'm like, which ones would I feel like are for me and for them? I mean, a lot of them I am just interested in though anyway. Okay, the one that's like the real cost of getting my house on Airbnb, that was kind of for them one. I knew that one would probably do well.
Yeah.
And like, I was still down to make the video, but I wasn't as excited about it as other ones. As like, okay, inside a 3D printed house. That one I just wanted to do. That was fun. The Oura Ring one I wanted to do. the private lounge I wanted to do. The Rivian, honestly, a lot of them I just want to do.
Yeah.
But like house hunting in LA, that one I was like, that will probably do well. And I don't know, but I wanted to do it too. A lot of them I just want to do, honestly.
Also, okay, just the compound effect of just being on the platform for so long. I'm just looking, you interviewed Bill Gates. Like,
I know, that's so crazy.
So crazy. I didn't see that you did that. Holy crap.
Yeah, I interviewed him. It was cool. It was like crazy, honestly.
Yeah, I think your channel maybe like just a mess. This is like how I think and view you and your channel and your career. I think it's really very evident of like a long-term compound effect of just continuously working at something, posting something, and then eventually getting it to a place that you literally just do genuinely what you're interested in.
Mm-hmm. And like someone starting a new channel, I wouldn't recommend them approach it the way I do now.
Yeah.
Because it probably wouldn't do that well. Yeah. But it's only because I guess people know me from it.
Yeah. Like you're very established already. So you're able to do this at this point.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. Yeah. And also just always liking like the filmmaking part of it.
Yeah.
I think that actually helps a lot. Like if you don't like making videos, if you don't like editing, it's like, that's going to be tough.
That is also the thing too, is we both pretty much started at a time where you could not make, you had no idea
make that much from it back then. There weren't really brand deals or anything.
Yeah. So I feel like you have the advantage of, I mean, you genuinely at this point, you've been doing it for like 13 years. I've been doing it for 10. Like we love the process of making videos probably, where I think like some people now it's very evident that you can make a lot of money on it.
A lot more people just start it because they know they can make money from it. And
it's a like, career option now, which is not a bad thing. It's just, it is a different approach, which is interesting. But I think you've done a good job, like always keeping like the career aspect in mind, where for me, it's been something that I've always done on the side. So it's been an adjustment period.
I've always thought, I was like, you would totally do it if you like, just
you have always said that.
I guess that specific type of effort that you would need to make it a full-time thing.
You were the first person who kind of always like said that to me. You were like, you could do this full-time, and I still was like, nah, I don't think so.
I was like, you totally could. So it was cool to see that you did then too. When we were in New York, I was like, finally. No,
I appreciate I appreciate your words and like your encouragement. But yeah, even from my perspective now, I'm like, I'm still gonna take like a Shelby approach to things. Like you've definitely changed my mind. I'm like, oh, it's cool that you could actually just make videos on what you're genuinely interested in, and people will.
I know, that's honestly the key, because you care more. You're gonna go the extra mile.
Yeah.
Like that's why my channel is so random.
Yeah.
And like why I tell people to not feel like you have to stick to one niche, because I just don't know how it's possible to like care about one thing for so long. I don't know.
And
I would get bored.
About your viewers too, like when your viewers come up to you, they're just genuinely so grateful because like you've helped them in their business, which is really cool to see.
I have met some like that. Honestly, a lot of them are doing cool stuff, and they're like my age. It's very different from when I was like 16. They were like girls that were just younger than me, and it would be more of like that fangirl type of vibe. And now it's like people who are just like really chill, and like if we had met in some different circumstance, we probably just would be friends or something, you know?
Okay, that is actually, I think, a distinctive thing about your audience, because I have like a lot of YouTube friends, and so I can see like when their audience comes up to them, or like, you know, when my audience comes up to me, you always have like a super relaxed, like super chill. I mean, I'm sure not all of them are like that, but they are like
people that like have cool jobs.
Yeah, they're entrepreneurs. They have like really cool jobs. That maybe also is like a really important thing to think about in creating a platform, is like the community you want to build, like the type of community and type of people that you want watching your channel. Because I'm sure you didn't think about that when you were doing your videos.
Because you can't really like choose it.
Oh, that's kind of like we went to the Capitol Hill block party, and Charlie XCX. Catherine was saying she has like a very like gay male like audience, but it's apparently
it's like she probably was like, oh, what?
Like she didn't know that would be her audience.
Don't really know.
Sometimes you can't ever tell like who's gonna be your audience, but your audience is really nice. Like I like them.
Me too. I feel like they make sense too. Like people that watch my channel, I'm like, oh, cool.
And even like thinking about like branding for that, it's like, yeah, maybe curating content that you, for a specific like person. A lot of people do say to do that too. It's like, think of exactly who, like literally think of like, make up a person like Sally who works at a tech job in like Washington is like your audience or something.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I've met like people who watch my channel that like have sold companies and whatever.
Dang.
Like, I'm like, whoa, it's crazy to think YouTube, like that stuff gets out there. You never know who's watching.
Yeah. A lot of the time I think that posting on any platform is kind of like manifesting on digitally, because you're putting something out there. Like for you, you're doing real estate, and that's probably how you met Rob. It's just like, you're like, oh, I want, like, did he reach out to you or did you reach out to him?
We had both seen each other's videos, and then my friend Cassie like organized this boat day where it was like me, like Graham and Macy went, and Rob went, I think a couple other people, and that's like where I met Rob. Yeah. But we had seen each other's videos. It was similar to how we met. Someone just finally organized something.
So it's cool that you were able to like connect and decide to partner on a project because you've built all this content around it. Like for me, if I do yoga videos, it's like, oh, then that's me like telling the world that I'm interested in yoga.
People are going to reach out about that kind of thing.
Or even I did coding. I did a coding boot camp because we were so not technical. I was like, if I want to be in this space, in this tech space, like it would be helpful for me to know, even if I don't want to be like a software developer. And from that, I had never gotten more feedback from my channel and advice on how to actually learn how to code, these resources, people offering to like literally help me. Right. And for me, I was just like, I don't know why they would do that, but I know people just want to connect. Nice. And it is a great way to just even network and just put it out in the universe, like what you're working on and doing.
Totally. With coding, did you kind of just not like it? Like, did you feel like you didn't want to do that?
Coding was really interesting for me because it literally opened up a completely new like portal in my world. I was just like, this is a completely different thinking process that I've never thought about before. It was a whole new world. But I think for me, I also still wanted to I was just spending hours on my computer, and similar to like maybe you talking about your technical like camera abilities, I was like, this does not come naturally to me. Like there would be like a 40-year-old mom in the program who I was like, this makes sense for her. Like it's really clicking with her.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't
like
something.
She got it.
Yeah. I think anyone could get to a point where they can do it. But for me, I was just like, I know that I still want to do YouTube, and I'm like I try to be mindful about like my activities and like what I'm doing and how much time I'm spending like on my computer. Where I was just like, if I'm trying to do both, like editing and coding,
it's just like on a screen all the time.
A lot of creating and so to me, I was just like, I think it makes more sense for me. And even like in the program, like I would like connect with people. We'd have like a really good time. I was just like, I don't think coding is like my strength. Yeah. And also, I guess like after that, I got into like my Alaska, like I was like, I would rather build like more community and like try to do something like media wise where I still think like coding is fascinating. And I'm like, that's why I'm still like so interested in tech.
Yeah. You know, I think like, it's cool how you don't really subscribe to the like graduate college, get a job, whatever. I remember when you were like going through that too, like you could have gotten one. Like, didn't you have offers?
Yeah, I could have worked. Easily. I was on track to work at Neutrogena. No, and that's actually something that I tell like, I don't think college is, we're at a place where like, I think even for me when I was going into college, I was like, oh, like, this is the track that I take. But even as I was going through it, because I remember you didn't graduate, and like, do you have regrets about that?
No, not in that sense, because I would have just had a weird college experience anyway. Like if I had transferred somewhere, it would have been like, okay, you're hopping in like halfway through and whatever, and I just wouldn't have had time to like really do it.
I remember you said your professors were also just like, you should just drop out and like pursue like whatever you're doing.
They were so cool. Luckily, like you never know what you're gonna get. Like you could get hardcore like film people who think YouTube is stupid. Like it could have easily gone that way where they would like, no, you need to be like directing commercials or whatever. But they were like, wow, this new thing, they really embraced it and they thought it was cool and they were very encouraging, and they were like, don't waste your money. Like don't, because you don't need a degree to do this and you already have some success. And like one of the teachers there even like connected me to someone at CBS and was like, oh, email them if you like want to try and get a job. But honestly, you have your own like good thing going.
Yeah. No, I think it's really interesting because a lot of the time for traditional careers, like it's literally required that you need a degree. But it's like, if we were at a networking event and you had like the verified checkmark and 200,000 followers, like people were more interested in talking to you versus like someone who just had a degree.
I more so wish I went to college just for like the experience of it, not for the degree.
Yeah.
Like if I had out of high school just like gone to one and done the whole thing, I feel like a lot of people make really good friends doing that. And I'm like, that would be cool. Like I would have been down for that experience. But I also had a lot of other experiences just doing YouTube. But I'm like, I don't know. I was in such a rush to like make money because I knew I had like no backup plan. My parents were not going to like pay for anything really. So I felt like a fire under me to like figure that out. And I felt very aware of like, I don't want to have student loans. Like I feel like a lot of people at the time were like, it's fine, I'll just have these student loans, everyone's doing it. And I was like, what? No. Like I don't want to have debt at all.
I think that a lot of people are just like following this like very traditional path, and I think with the pandemic it's really shaken things up and shown people it's like you're still paying tuition for these online classes. I think it just kind of showed the facade of it's like it's not all of what people think it is.
And I think that is changing. I think luckily doing YouTube at that time, it was easy. No one was like, so what are you gonna do, like work at Starbucks? You know, they were like, oh, you already kind of have this working. I get that it's hard to just not go to college and like, I don't know, like start something different. Like that's hard. But there are a lot of good like trades out there. Like plumbers make a lot. It doesn't sound like a sexy job, but like if you learn how to do some kind of trade like that, like I wouldn't ever want to do that, to be honest. But I know there's like a type of person who's like maybe has a knack for it. And like it sounds boring, but like if you learn how to do that and start your own business of that, like you'll make a lot. Yeah,
I do think it is interesting that now people, like so many people want to be like YouTubers and social media.
People don't want to have a normal job. I'm like, oh, no one's going to be able to like find people to help them with their projects.
And even like in like you have absolutely no schedule. I think a huge part of being a YouTuber is figuring out like a schedule of working for yourself. Like in New York, I would be talking to like, because my friends were all like younger than me, and they'd be like, so what do you do all day? Because they were trying to figure out like what they do with their days. I would literally just be like, that's literally like a part of your job now, is to try to like figure that out, because like that's half the battle. Like routine like is important. Like
with the other maybe younger YouTubers you knew there, do you feel like they like liked that or struggled with it, or would they have like a normal schedule?
No, the people, my house was like really good. They were like very like disciplined routine. Like we had a good, I think we could have been more organized, especially doing group work. Like there had to be some organization.
It does help when other people around you are doing it.
Yeah, for sure. But there are so many people, at least like when I was leaving, so many creators who literally moved to New York to make it as a creator. And it is interesting to see, because it's hard to do. Yeah. And it's stressful.
I know, everyone treats it differently. Like now that I have someone who comes every day except for Fridays, it's really scheduled out.
I also think if you hire and involve other people,
you have to. Like it's very like all on a calendar and everything.
I think that's kind of like also another life hack, is because you're accountable for other people. If you're paying like an editor, you have to pay them. So you actually have like some motivation to, you know, get working. Yeah. And it just like, it's better for like scheduling and routine. Like you have to be organized if you're involving another person. And if you don't, you disappoint them and then you feel bad about yourself. So you're like, okay, I have to get on top of my shit.
I know. I'm so like thankful that now I'm at a place where I can hire someone, because it is just like night and day, making it so much easier. We're able to get so much more done. Yeah. And I just feel like free, like I can make anything. Before I'd be like, it just felt more daunting to make each video. Like if I wanted to go, I guess we were just in Austin making a video about this like A-frame out there. And before I'd be like, okay, do I know a videographer in Waco? Who's going to come with me? Like, I don't really want to stay at an Airbnb alone. Like I would try and get Sam to come with me or something. Yeah. Like he's probably shooting his own thing. And like,
that's so true. Like I think as a YouTuber, if you really want to do like a lot of this stuff, you kind of have to be independent and be able to do your own thing.
Or I mean,
I guess in the content that we're doing,
though, I need someone to help.
Yeah.
Because I just get so much footage, or like we do the 2-camera setup with everything, and like it's just easier.
Yeah. Oh, I meant independent from like a boyfriend, or like, you know, like, I have to have this person do it with me. You have to kind of like forge your own path.
Yeah. Although, I mean, there's a couple channels that make that work.
That's true. Like vloggers.
They probably run into like issues with that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I guess it's just so different for everyone. Every creator is completely different. You can really make it what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm at a good place with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I feel good about it and like inspired.
I'll wrap up soon, but like maybe some rapid fire questions like on creating, because I think you've had such a long career that you've like revived to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
How do you keep your content fresh, and how do you keep yourself inspired?
I watch a lot of YouTube videos.
I do not do that, which I think I need to do more of.
Yeah. That's what I do. And like, you'll just take bits and pieces of like, that was a cool like transition or whatever, like way of editing or something like that. So that helps a lot.
Who are some of your favorite?
Johnny Harris, Nathaniel Drew, honestly. Yeah. We were talking about going to visit him.
Let's manifest it. This is us manifesting it on the internet.
His style, like, it's so good.
Yeah.
Vox in general, Vice. I watch a lot of the just like documentary channels, Architectural Digest, like the ones that aren't people, but they're like the companies, because they're usually like really well produced.
Yeah.
Those are like my favorites.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So I have like an interning series, and I'm like, oh, maybe I got like inspiration from you, like, because it's very documentary style, because I don't know, even for my vlogs, I like to keep it like realistic. Like I'll add like music or fun stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But I still like to like portray an accurate like reality.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe I did get some inspiration from like the interning series.
It's a cool series too.
I love it. Yeah. You were kind of the first person that I was like, oh, I should do this with Shelby. Yeah. I still want to do
working in New York.
Yeah. I called it like an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
But it was like a win, I think, because like I was able to like see your creative process and your like structuring, and then I was just able to help you with your videos.
Yeah, that was when I realized, I was like, I do need to hire someone, because it was just easier to get stuff done. Like I was like, oh, this day we can go interview, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, do that.
And it's kind of just easier to like go in and be just like with someone else. You're doing things.
It's just better all around.
Yeah.
I think if you can do it, like it is.
Yeah.
But I know it's like, it's more expensive because you have to like pay them.
Okay. Who would be your first hire? Like editor, videographer?
Mine has been kind of like a videographer and editor, in just a general like assistant person.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the way I saw it working was how Graham has Jack and Alicia Marie has TK. And the person is like cool with being in videos. They're like, they have seen the channel, so they like really know what it's like, I guess, and care. And like it's like a friend vibe. It's not like some random professional editor that's like much older and like, just, I don't know, like how there's like, if you're on a normal set, there's going to be like, the crew is like, I feel like it's like guys in their 40s. I just can't, I mean, not saying never, but I can't really imagine that being the vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's usually someone who's like-minded, like pretty similar to them.
Yeah.
So I feel like that I've seen that work. So I was like, I'm going to try that.
You've done like some lifestyle, tech, real estate. Like, are there any other avenues that you're looking into doing or exploring next?
Let me look at my list of videos.
Ooh, okay.
Because I definitely do want to do more of like, I guess just interviewing people that have interesting businesses and are transparent about that. So, oh yeah. Well, I'm working on a series right now. I'm calling it Checked In. By the time this is up, it might be up. But it's basically going to really cool, unique Airbnbs. And there's a lot of people who do this that go tour them. But the thing that makes this one different is we interview the owner or the architect or whoever about like how they built it, how it's doing on Airbnb. Like,
that's super cool.
It's just a more behind the scenes look on it, but it's also like the fun real estate, like unique houses part of it too.
That's super cool.
So that's like what I'm working on now.
Okay.
And it's like, I'm just selfishly interested.
Yeah. But I think that literally is like the thing that I think is cool about your channel. It's like stuff that you want to do anyway, and you're finding a way to like make it your job, which is the dream.
Yeah.
That is literally what Naval like preaches. He's like, create, and like make it your job.
Yeah.
Because he's like, eventually in the future, everything non-creative will be outsourced. So it's like you are in the best possible position, I think.
For real.
Whether it's like creating by coding or like podcasting, videos, writing, anything like that. Yeah. I'm gonna send you some
designing and stuff. I would love to hire like an amazing graphic or motion designer at some point. Just someone who makes really, really good graphics or like cool motion effects. Yeah. That's something I would look into.
Yeah. Because your videos are like very visually appealing as well.
Yeah, but I'm not a graphic designer and I feel like I'm okay at it. But I watch like Vox and I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
And it would be helpful for your kind of content too.
Yeah. I think it's worth it too to like spend more on someone if you can afford it that's like better than you at it. Because I've totally done that approach of hiring someone that's just like an extra set of hands, but they really have no idea how to like use a camera. And I'm like, oh, but it's fine. I'll teach them. But like, it's better to skip that if you can afford it. Hire someone that's like better than you. Yeah. And then you'll learn from them. That's what I've done with like my videographer, Mark, in LA. Shout out. He's a YouTuber too. But like, he will always know like a cool LUT I've never heard of or something. And I'm like, I feel like I just got like a free consultancy. Yeah. So it's worth it. You get more out of it.
Yeah. I think that is also like a characteristic of you is you do it like knowledge sharing. Like you share like a lot. You're very open. And then you're also like interested in learning from other people. Yeah. You can, and also like people say this about me a lot. Like my friends, like they're like, you can talk to anyone. I think you can talk to anyone too. Like you're always someone, like sometimes I'll be with my friends and I'll be talking to like whoever, random, whatever. And then my friends will be like, nah, like blah, blah, blah. But you never do that. I think you are. Oh,
I totally know what you mean. Like there are people who be like, oh, let's go. Why are you talking
to them? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there are just people who I'm like, this is random, but it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Or you're just like, yeah, you're just like a person. And I feel like you have the same mindset where you're just like, you can probably like learn anything from anyone.
Well, even those guys yesterday who were like, oh, do you want to come wake surfing on our boat? And I was low-key like, yes, dude, I want to go wake surfing.
If I said like,
if I had a swimsuit, I totally would have, because they didn't even seem creepy.
No, they were like, they knew that they were like coming up, like they were self-aware.
And we're on a lake. We're not like going into the ocean. I feel like that's where it gets sketchy. If you're alone and someone's like, want to come on our boat, and you're in like Cabo or something, like do not. But we're like on the Lake Union, like, or Lake Washington. Or
it was like these two 50-year-old men who were like, they just saw us.
They seemed pretty wholesome.
They were really nice. Like they saw that I was recording. They were
we
like,
outnumbered them.
Yeah.
Too.
And then they were aware of like the odd. They were like, oh, like I'm like a 54-year-old man. Like they weren't being creepy. They were just like aware of the situation. But
I would have been like, wake surfing sounds fun. Like,
no, I was kind of thinking about that when we were kayaking. I was like, we could be in there.
I know, but we didn't bring swimsuits.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't have worked out. But yeah, you are a very like open, down to earth person, and you're a good planner. So next time when I have you on my podcast, I'm gonna really plan this out.
I feel like I've gotten more into planning lately. Yeah, like I wasn't as much. Like before.
I think it's always like a good realization to have when you're just like, oh shit, I need to plan this shit out, because then you usually do and you don't make the same mistake again.
Yeah, it helps.
Okay, well,
cool.
Thank you for being on my podcast, Shelby.
Ooh, does it have a name?
It doesn't have a name yet. That's like my biggest barrier.
It's hard to come up with.
Let's really
try and brainstorm it today.
Yeah. I have like some good ideas from other people, but I'm just like, man, that is my biggest barrier right now, because I'm just
we should try and think of one.
Dang,
today.
I would love.
Yeah.
Love. All right.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Thank you. And beautiful apartment.
Thanks.
Do you have content on your apartment as well?
Not yet, but I'll make a tour when I like finish decorating it for sure. It's just in vlogs and stuff.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if that was like another avenue that you're gonna try to like go through.
I'll definitely make stuff about decorating.
Or like Seattle content. Are you doing any of that?
Not that much, because I don't think people like
care.
Yeah. Seattle's pretty random.
Yeah.
LA and New York, it works.
Yeah.
But Seattle doesn't really get the clicks.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm not that passionate about Seattle.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a place, but I probably won't live here forever.
Yeah. I love the awareness. Okay. Thank you, Shelby.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yay, let's go on the ferry now.
Yes. And then to Nathaniel Drew later.
Yeah.
That's manifested.
Ooh, yeah.